The other physical reason is he's overweight. You don't have to be a genius to look at the video of him a year ago and look at him now. He's way overweight.
Front office unfiltered. Let's do this. Jim Bowden is back with us. JB, great to see you. We had a long spring training tour. Now we got to get to business. And business started right away this weekend with the Yankees absolutely destroying the Brewers and making them look like a minor league team. But the Torpedo Bats take center stage. So what was your thought on this when you saw the news of some of the players using the Torpedo Bats? And did you ever hear of them when you were running the Reds or the Nationals?
No, I never heard of a torpedo bat until Sunday, right? When Michael Kay brought it up when Anthony Volpe came to the plate. So the first thing I did, obviously, reach out to the commissioner's office. Is this thing legal? And of course, the commissioner's office comes back and says, as long as the diameter is within 2.6 inches at the fattest part, as long as it's not longer than 42 inches and it's one piece of wood, then it is legal. So obviously, it's a legal bat. Obviously, there have been players that have been aware of this from last year. There were players that used it in the Arizona Fall League, we found out over the last 48 hours. But yeah, I just learned about this. Now, my first idea, my first blush was brilliant. And it brought back memories of when I was a GM in the mid-90s, because I had traded for a Gold Glove center fielder by the name of Darren Lewis. And Darren Lewis would hit every single ball 2 inches below the sweet spot, like all the time. And I just couldn't understand it. And I would go to the hitting coaches and our hitting people and say, isn't there something we can do? Because it's literally, he's consistent where he hits the ball, but it's never on the barrel. It's always just below it. There's got to be a way. And, we couldn't figure it out. And in his career, he couldn't figure it out. And it was funny because the last 2 years I kept watching Anthony Volpe and I'm going, I wonder why he doesn't barrel it more, right? You watch Jazz Chisholm, you wonder why he doesn't barrel it more. Well, the Yankees last year apparently had a physicist in there who's now with the Marlins, who sat there and came up with the idea of customizing bats based on where hitters hit the ball. And so it's a genius. It's brilliant. I feel stupid I didn't think about it. And so now they've designed a bat that is perfect for Volpe and Chisholm, at least two players where, okay, if you're always going to hit the ball most of the time below that label, then let's just make that the fat part. So when you are hitting it there, it's got a chance to leave with exit velocity or be able to get distance. So I got to tell you that my view of it, it's brilliant. And I got to tell you, if I woke up this morning as a GM or manager or a player and I wasn't aware of this or I haven't tried it, I would go to my analytic people and say, okay, where do I make contact? Where on the bat? And let's design a bat specifically for me based on the last 3 years of data. That's what I would do. I think it's brilliant.
Like I said before, I'm going to need more than that 42 inches you're allowed because those sliders just kept going farther and farther away. Was there something was there a piece of equipment change or something that when you were a GM that you saw come in similar to this? I know we're at the infant stage of everybody finding out about this, but was there something that you saw come in that you were like, well, this is going to be the thing? And then it never, like the axe handle was a thing for a long time on the bats. And then some guys got some hamate bones broken and they blamed it on that. And it kind of didn't get as much pub, but some guys still use them.
Yeah, I hate to put the business side of being a GM hat on, but I've got to do that because I think one of the things that really stands out is the fact that the bomb bat came, right, when I was the farm director. And I'm like, wow, we're going to save a lot of money because these bats don't break because we spend so much money. In the minor leagues, you have all those cheap bats that break all the time. And I'm like, yeah, these bomb bats are going to be the best. And it ended up not working because the hitters weren't able to get the feel of the barrel, right? They really didn't get the feel they needed. So it didn't really turn into the money-saving solution that we were looking for at that time. But that's really the only huge change of equipment really that I dealt with.
Hey, Jim, just to let you know, they're still using those bomb bats on the travel ball circuit. It drives me crazy. But I want to ask you about, I know it's early. You've done this for a long time, but there was a lot of talk about the Padres and all the turmoil that was going on and lack of moves and dumping payroll. Is what we saw real from the Padres, or was that just, a product of how good their pitching is? I'm just curious. Or is there any team that surprised you in this early weekend of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think the Padres are real. Sure, I think I'm glad they didn't trade Dylan Cease or Michael King. I think that's huge. I love watching Jeremy Estrada close that game out last night. That was phenomenal with his 98 going right at the Braves. I think one of the question marks was left field with the Padres, right? After losing Jerks and Profar, and you saw Lockridge yesterday go the other way, show off his speed a little bit. Bogart seems comfortable going back to shortstop, which was his original position anyway. So, yeah, look, I'm not saying that the Padres are going to win 100 games. I don't think that's the case. I mean, the Dodgers are going to win this division. But the Padres will fight the Diamondbacks for second place and for a wild card berth. I think they're that kind of team. I mean, they didn't lose that much this offseason. Yes, they lost Ha-Seong Kim and Profar, and I'm not going to downplay the losses of them and the injury to Joe Musgrove, of course. But this is a really good team, and they're run by a really aggressive GM and A.J. Preller who knows how to get a piece when he needs it. And I think a lot of people really didn't comprehend or grasp how good Jackson Merrill is. And when you have Tatis leading off and you got Merrill and Machado, you're going to score runs. And then the rest of their lineup, those guys can put the ball in play. I mean, Luis Arise, right? He's won, 3 batting titles? You got Jake Cronenworth, who's a very underrated player. So, the Padres, it's great to see them get off to a great start, but it doesn't surprise me.
After all the drama with Devers and Bregman this spring training, could Devers have gotten off to – because it's been a worse time to have a slump of 12 strikeouts, I think, and 16 at-bats. And did you see anything different in his swing this first series?
Yeah, so, Eric, let me tell you my take on Rafael Devers, okay? I'll give you 2 mental reasons, and I'll give you 2 physical reasons. So I'm going to give you 4 reasons. Let's start with the mental part of it, right? It's the way you handled Alex Bregman, right? I'm sure Rafael Devers heard they were signing him, but during that whole process, they kept saying perhaps Bregman would play second base. And the Red Sox never came out and said, well, if we sign Bregman, we're going to move Devers to DH. They never went to Rafael Devers and said, hey, we may sign Bregman, and if we do, you're going to be the full-time DH. They didn't do that. They signed Bregman, and then they tried to deal with it. So they mishandled it. And Devers, as you remember in February, what did he say? He came out and said, I'm not moving. I'm not going to first. I'm not DHing. I'm a third baseman. Now, Alex Cora did a good job in a month of showing empathy, of showing patience, before he basically just came out and said, Bregman's my third baseman. You're the DH, Rafael. So we're here about winning. That gives us the best chance to win. That's what you have to do. But mentally, a 28-year-old player who just signed a $313.5 million deal the previous year, all of a sudden is now told you have to DH? I mean, he can try to say the right things and try to say Red Sox first, but mentally, that's got to get to him. The second mental issue is not everybody can DH. Everybody thinks because Big Papi did it or Edgar Martinez did it, because Shohei Ohtani did it, everyone thinks it's easy. It's not. There are so many hitters that just can't DH, right? So Rafael Devers, he doesn't even have a routine. Watch him between at bats. He sits in the dugout. It's not like he goes and gets on a bike or goes underneath and hits, right? We've been watching him in the dugout. Just wait for his next at bat. He got pinch run for and went to the dugout and sulked. So mentally, the way it was handled and mentally him having to adjust to the DH spot has been huge. Now, physically, I don't think his shoulders are healthy. And I know they can't be healthy because if they were, we would have seen him at the beginning of spring training. Why wasn't he there at the beginning of spring training? Because the shoulders weren't right, okay? The other physical reason is he's overweight. You don't have to be a genius to look at the video of him a year ago and look at him now. He's way overweight. And so if you're the Red Sox, okay, we know those 4 issues are there. You got to fix it. 0 for 16 with 12 Ks. Come on. So you got to bring David Ortiz in to talk to him. You got to have Bregman's, locker next to him. You got to give him love, and you got to get him with nutritionists. You got to get him with the medical people. You got to get him with the training people. You got to find ways to get him back to be Rafael Devers at the plate. You got to figure out a routine for him in between at bats, in between games, so that he can stay in shape. The other thing is when you go 0 for 16 with 12 punch-outs, you're thinking about it. If you're playing third base, you can run out to third base, make a diving play, throw a guy out, and mentally the at-bat doesn't stick with you. When you're only DHing, that's all you're doing. And you're not even they're pinch running for you. So you don't even get to run the bases. So here's my point. You created this black hole. Now you got to figure a way to fill it in. You got to figure a way to fix it. You got to give him love. You got to help him. You got to support him. It'll probably take a month, but you'll get there because he's a really good hitter.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video. FT fam, I hope you have as much confidence as Penelope right now, who is an avid Spot and Tango fan, okay? And she uses the code FOUL, Kratz, because this is a personalized dog food subscription service that prevents you, of course, from going to the store to pick up the food. And she just gets the highest quality unkibble. That is what they're known for. And I know you love the quiz part of it too.
It's a super quick quiz, but it lets you give them the information and they tailor it to what is needed based on their age, size, activity level, all things that are custom for each and every one of your dogs.
Yeah, human grade ingredients in that unkibble. USDA meat, fruits, and veggies that are approved there. No artificial stuff, no preservatives. They've got the exclusive deal for the FT fam for a limited time. Go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/foul. It's spotandtango.com/foul, code foul. And now back to the video.
The early struggles of Roki Sasaki finding the strike zone while the Dodgers continue to thrive. What are you hearing there as far as about loving on him and keeping him confident? Because we know it's not easy to come over from a different league over to the big leagues and dominate like we've seen some guys do. And we've seen Yamamoto get it going after a slow struggle last year. What are you hearing as far as his psyche and his mental goes?
Yeah, I think what he's doing is what we all expected, right? We talked about it on this show. I've written about it in The Athletic. And the reason that I wrote about it is because all of the teams that had scouted Sasaki, including his agency, had told all of us that when Sasaki got here, he is not polished. He's not a finished product. And don't expect him to be Yu Darvish or Masahiro Tanaka or Yoshinobu Yamamoto. That's not what he's going to be. He's not ready. And the example that we used was, it's like a first round pick from a year ago. You took the pitcher first overall, but he's not major league ready yet, right? He's not Paul Skeens or Steven Strasburg that can be drafted and go right in the rotation. Now, we all love his stuff, right? 100 to 102 mile an hour fastball with a split finger or forkball, whatever you want to call it. When it's in the strike zone, it's unhittable. That drop is ridiculous. It's one of the best I've ever witnessed. Like, it's that good. But all of you know, right? And you guys that played, Eric, Cameron, you know, it's all about command and control at the big league level. I don't care how good your stuff is. You got to command it. You got to control it. You got to have savvy. You got to have poise. You got to have composure. You've got to have mental toughness. You have to have all those things. All of that was a question with Sasaki in Japan. And then when he went through this process and started misleading everybody from the teams that were pursuing him to the media, what was that all about, right? It seems to me like that's just immaturity. Now, I love the talent. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Someday he's going to win a Cy Young Award, but he's not ready. So if you're the Dodgers, you've got a couple of options here. Number one, you got to hope he bounces back in his next start. That's going to be important. And you got to hope that he keeps improving. You got to see how he handles adversity like this. But if he doesn't handle it well, you can't be afraid to do one of two things. One, option him out to AAA. Let him go to the minors, not under the big lights, and let him figure out how to get control and command to add, subtract, own the strike zone, pitch more like a real estate agent. The other option you have at some point, it's okay if you want to put him in the bullpen. You're going to limit his innings anyway. And when you get Ohtani back or Kershaw back or Gonsolin back, it's okay if you want to put him in the bullpen and have him maybe pitch 2 innings in a row where just fill up the strike zone. Pitch ahead, go after the guys, stay in the strike zone. But this should not be a surprise. He's not the finished product, and we knew that coming in.
You kind of danced around it a little bit. Do you feel like it is from your view, it's a mechanical issue or a fear of getting your fastball hit issue? Because a lot of Japanese pitchers come over, Yu Darvish, Masahiro Tanaka, guys that are afraid to get their fastball hit. What do you feel like it is with Roki?
Yeah, I think it's the mental first, which causes the mechanics. So it's both, right? I mean, mechanics usually is what causes not having the command and control or being able to repeat the delivery or having consistency there. But it's the mental part that puts it there because we've seen a clean delivery from him. So we know that delivery is there. I do think it's between the ears, and I think that's a lot of times normal. I remember when Randy Johnson came to the big leagues and was walking 100-plus guys a year. He had no command or control whatsoever, and it took him time, and he figured it out, and he's a Hall of Famer now, right? So, for Sasaki, I just think, we got to have patience. It's hard to do it when you're in LA. You're hard to do it with the best team in the world. and the Dodgers don't have to watch forever. But the best thing for Sasaki is the environment he's in, right? He's with Ohtani and Yamamoto. He's with Clayton Kershaw. He's with a tremendous pitching room, a great analytic department. He can't be in a better spot. But as you know, Eric, this is about human beings making decisions in the biggest moments with the most eyes put on you, the most pressure. And you got to be able to handle it, and you got to be able to get through it. Physically, he's going to be fine. Mechanically, he is going to be fine. But you've got to get that mental toughness part, and you've got to have that focus, poise, and composure, and be able to handle adversity. You get hit, so what? Go back right at him.
Because you make some great points, and I'm curious. You gave some really good options, talking about possibly going to the minor leagues or possibly getting moved to the bullpen. As a former GM who's very in touch with players, if let's say the scenario does happen where he does struggle next outing, for his psyche as a GM, what do you think would be the best benefit for him? Do you think it would be good for him to go there for his mental, or would it be just stay with that great pitching staff, stay with all those great resources, and just go to the pen? I'm curious on what do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question, Cameron. And I think you have to be there. You have to really understand the player, and you have to get input from Ohtani and Yamamoto and some of the players around him to try to figure that out. You know, is he the kind of guy that's going to be able to handle being optioned to the minor leagues? Is that something that he'll be able to handle? Is going to the bullpen something that he would understand? I mean, he did that in Japan. That might be the easier transition. But as you mentioned, Cameron, the key is really understanding the person, his support system around him, his teammates and friends around him, to try to get the vibe. Because the goal, if you're the Dodgers, is how can I make Sasaki be the pitcher we know he's going to be? What's the best way to develop him? Not just as a pitcher, but as a human being. How can I make it work with him? And sometimes, the intangibles, the human element, is just as important as the business decision of where to put him. You can kind of parallel it with the Red Sox decision with Devers, right? There's that strict business decision where best with Devers DHing. But there's also the human element that sometimes doesn't make the best business decision the right decision.
JB, let's finish with extensions. Brandon Pfaadt got an extension with the Diamondbacks, which looked good. I actually liked the Justin Martinez one because you don't have to go to arbitration and mess with the saves, and then the price gets all weird. They can just close them now. They don't have to worry about that. And then, I also wanted to mix in two more here. Christian Campbell is apparently in talks with the Red Sox already. That sounds great, but gets me thinking about a team like the Orioles. If Adley Rutschman is back, I know that sometimes a team doesn't want to take advantage of an extension opportunity when a player's coming off a down year because you're going to look at numbers. The league might not like that, but I'm like, damn, this actually seemed like the time to pull that off. So what are your thoughts on, I guess, all the extension talks that have been going on right now, spilling into the beginning of the season?
Yeah, so Scott, the best contracts you make are the ones where you sign the player before he does it. From a club's perspective, that's the only way I'm going to save money. Just like Alex Anthopoulos did with Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies contracts, which has saved him literally over $100 million. You got to do it early, and that's exactly what Mike Hazen is doing in Arizona. Get Brandon Pfaadt done before he does it. That's what he did. And by the way, he also has Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly free agents at the end of this year. And we know what happens when a pitcher develops, how much money they're going to get. For example, if I'm in Seattle, it's too late to sign Logan Gilbert. If I'm signing Logan Gilbert now and I'm representing Gilbert, I'm getting the Corbin Burns deal. But if you're Seattle, you have to sign Brian Wu and Bryce Miller right now before they do it. With Adley Rutschman, I would have signed him 2 years ago before he does it. Now, when you have Boris clients, that can be tricky because he'll take you to free agency. But if you're a GM, you've got to get these guys signed early. If you're the Red Sox, go get Campbell. And by the way, go do Roman Anthony too, right? Get Anthony before he does it. I don't care if it's before he gets his first big league at bat, because you're going to save millions. You have to be right on the player. You can't be wrong. But if you have the hit tool like Campbell and Anthony have, get them done before they do it, like the Braves did Acuna and Albies. Otherwise, look what happened to Guerrero. You could have had him at 150. Then you could have had him at 300. Now 500 doesn't even get him done. The same guy. So in the case of Campbell, this is interesting because I had never heard of him. And last June, I'm at a Portland Sea Dogs game eating a lobster roll. And Campbell comes to the plate and he hits 2 rockets. And I dropped my lobster. I'm like, who is this guy? So I go to MLB Pipeline. They don't have him in the top 100. I go to Baseball America. They don't have him in the top 100. So I go on my front office show on Sirius XM and I start praising Campbell. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but this guy can flat out hit. And now look at him today. Look how he shot up prospect rankings that quickly. But when you watch him play, you see sweet spot contact, you see the barrel, you see the exit velocity, you see quick twitch muscle, you see the athleticism in there. You see him play second, you see him play left. His first game in left field, he shows great range and great extension and almost caught it. He dropped it, but it was almost a great diving play. This kid's going to be a star. If you're Craig Breslow, sign them now. You're going to save so many millions for your team, it's not even funny. But if you're a GM, here's the message. You want to wait till they do it? It's going to cost you so much money that you're not going to save anything. You got to do it early.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.